The Bible is full of mysteries that have puzzled theologians and scholars for centuries. One such mystery is hidden within the very first book of the Bible, Genesis. Within its 50 chapters lie some deep secrets that could change your life if you knew what they were. In TSBA, we're going to look at one of these mysteries that many people don't know about. So let's get started. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And we all know that famous line from Genesis chapter 1 verse 14. But how many of us actually understand the weight of those words? We often read this passage so often that it becomes just another thing we do during our morning devotionals or evening prayers. But when was the last time you took a moment to reflect on how powerful these words really are? These words reveal a lot about the kind of person God is. They show us that He is a creative God who is powerful enough to bring something out of nothing. This means that no matter how difficult your situation may seem, you can trust that God has the power to deliver you because He has done it before. It also means that you should never doubt God's promises, because He has proven Himself over and over again to be a God who keeps His word. We live in a world where everything is constantly changing. The only constant is death. Everything eventually comes to an end, whether it be relationships, jobs, dreams, or even life itself. But not so with God. For He is eternal, which means that He always was, always will be, and always will continue to exist. Nothing can threaten His existence, because there was nothing before Him that could cause Him to come into being, and there will be nothing after Him that can cause Him to cease existing. Genesis chapter 1 tells us that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and it doesn't say that He created time along with them. In fact, it says that in the beginning there was no time, for time began with creation. The idea of infinite timelessness is hard for us to understand because we experience time every day. But if we take a step back and look at it objectively, we realize that time is just a construct of our minds and something that only exists in relation to other things. Time only has meaning in relation to events and changes that occur in the universe. So if there was nothing in existence before the creation of the universe, then there would be no reference point for time to be measured against. And therefore, the concept of time wouldn't even apply. Before creation, God existed outside of time. He wasn't bound by its limitations or constraints. Instead, He had perfect knowledge of everything that would ever happen throughout all of history. To Him, past, present, and future were all equally real and tangible. In essence, this means that God already knew everything that was going to happen before it happened, including our every thought, action, and decision. We might think that we are in control of our lives, but in reality, our every move is predetermined. However, this doesn't necessarily imply that we don't have free will, or that our lives are meaningless. Rather, it suggests that God has a greater plan for each of us, and our lives serve a purpose within His grand design. When we consider the fact that God knows everything and sees everything, it also means that He is completely just in His judgments and dealings with humanity. He doesn't play favorites or make decisions based on personal feelings or biases. Instead, He judges fairly and impartially based on the merits of each individual case. This should give us great confidence in God's character and faithfulness. Knowing that God is just and that He sees everything gives us a sense of security, knowing that ultimately He will do what is right and just. It also reminds us to live our lives in a way that is pleasing to God, since He is watching and evaluating our actions. Ultimately, when we know that God sees everything, it should inspire us to strive for holiness and righteousness in our lives. After creating the heavens and the earth, God divided the light from the darkness and called the light day and the darkness night. Then God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Thus God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so God called the firmament heaven. Thus the evening and the morning were the second day. When we look at this passage, it's important to remember that ancient people didn't have the same understanding of science and astronomy that we have today. When they looked up into the sky, they saw the sun, moon, and stars and other celestial bodies moving through the darkness, which gave them the impression that these objects were somehow suspended in a dome-like structure above them. This is why they believed that the earth was flat and that it was surrounded by a dome-like structure known as the firmament. According to their understanding, the earth was like a tile in the middle of a floor, and the sky was like the ceiling above it. And just as a tile doesn't touch the ceiling, the earth wasn't touching the firmament. There was a vast expanse of space between the two. While this may seem strange to us today, it's important to remember that the Bible was written in a different time and culture with different understandings of the world. The ancient Israelites didn't have telescopes or other tools that we have today to observe the universe. They also didn't have the benefit of modern scientific theories such as the Big Bang Theory or the heliocentric model of the solar system. Furthermore, it's important to note that the Bible isn't a science textbook, and it's not intended to be a comprehensive or detailed account of the physical universe. Rather, it's a religious text that focuses on the relationship between God and humanity. As such, the descriptions of the physical world are often poetic or metaphorical and shouldn't be taken literally. In addition, the Bible acknowledges that human understanding of the physical world is limited and that our knowledge is constantly evolving. In Isaiah 42:21, for example, it says, "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. There is no searching his understanding." This passage suggests that God's wisdom and knowledge are beyond our comprehension and that our understanding of the physical world is limited. It's also important to remember that the Bible was originally written in Hebrew, and the words used to describe the physical world can have multiple meanings and interpretations. For example, the word translated as firmament can also mean vault or expanse. In conclusion, while the Genesis account of creation may not align with modern scientific theories, it is important to remember that the Bible is a religious text with a different purpose than a science textbook. The descriptions of the physical world in Genesis should be understood in the context of the time and culture in which it was written, and they shouldn't be taken literally. Furthermore, the Bible acknowledges that human understanding of the physical world is limited and that our knowledge is constantly evolving. As such, we should be open to different interpretations of the biblical text and avoid using it to support a particular scientific theory. Genesis goes on to tell the story of Adam and Eve, the first humans created by God. It tells us that they lived in a place called the Garden of Eden, where they had everything they could possibly need. However, they were forbidden to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but they disobeyed God and ate from that tree. And as a result, they were cast out of the garden and doomed to live the rest of their lives in a state of sin and separation from God. This story serves as the foundation for the rest of the Bible, showing us the consequences of sin and the brokenness that entered into the world as a result of it. It also introduces us to the main conflict of the Bible, which is the struggle between good and evil. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to share it with your friends and family. Let us know in the comment section below if you found the video insightful, and do you forget to subscribe for more content like this.